Bruce, welcome back to the channel, Warriors. What's going on? We're here for our weekly check-in at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. Here we go. Ooh, wow, look at that. Looking a little rough over here. Um, yeah, I've not been tracking. Let's see, I tracked my days, 79 days so far, right? We're into this semen retention journey for 2026, checking in to make sure everybody's doing strong here and giving you some updates. Now, I am in the process of weight loss. I'm losing weight today and for the rest of the month because my next tournament is going to be the Pan American Championships down in Orlando, Florida. That's going to be the last week of the month, the 29th, I believe. I'm there for a conference at the same time. So I'm now 184 in the morning. So I got to get down to about 177, about 7 pounds in the next 2 weeks. It's a tough go, but it actually makes me think about the first time I've actually went on this disciplined semen retention journey, and that was the first time I did the Pan Am's last year. I won't say the first time I did Pan Am's, but the first time I did it with retention in mind. And it was 21 days. I think that was like my current streak at the time, and I just felt amazing, and that's really what made me a believer in it. And so now I'm very excited to take a second stab at it. I won it the first time, but take a second stab at it, this time being about almost 100 days. So interesting. Interestingly enough, too, during that time, I gave up caffeine. Shortly after the tournament, I gave up caffeine. And that was a game changer for me, because you probably have heard me on the channel before that I used to drink probably about 6 to 8 espressos throughout the day. It was more of a problem than anything else. And, for me, it would just cause a lot of crashes and energy and everything. And so I gave it up around last year, around this time. So I'm quickly approaching 1 year of caffeine free. Now, one of the things they did, and I picked up that because, I look in the Reddits, the subreddits a lot in the semen retention subreddit. And one thing that they say that causes a lot of, I guess, pent up energy, anxiety is overconsumption of caffeine. And that's really what made me want to give it a try, to give it up. I had tried it in the past and I was successful in about 2 years of giving up caffeine. But of course, I spent a lot of time in Costa Rica. And when I went back, had another shot of caffeine after 2 years and I was hooked again immediately. So again, I don't ever want to go back. I'm quickly approaching my year of being caffeine free. And I will be happy to talk about that in the next video because I think that would make it about a year, right? So about 365 days. I feel great. Won't go back. I do get some decaf from time to time, but no desire to go back to full caffeination, and gives me more energy when I wake up. I feel sharper. I don't feel like I don't need to get that fixed. I save a lot of money, lots of things in saving in caffeine. Now, I recently posted in my IG channels and my social media channels, which is probably how you found this channel to begin with, that I am for the 2026 committed to retaining my seed for competition, right? And one of the questions that I brought up was, does it make you a better fighter? And, I'm the experiment for that, right? So it's not saying that my way is the right way. I'm just here to offer my time and energy into conducting this experiment and reporting what I find with the world. And we'll see how it goes. So we're doing pretty good right now. I feel like I have a lot of energy. Yesterday, 2 days ago, was my daughter's 6-year birthday. And I don't know if you've had kids yourself, but when you have a birthday, you get a lot of gatherings of people. Sometimes it gets a little awkward. But for me, I attribute one thing that I haven't talked about in terms of the benefits of semen retention is I feel like I can carry conversations on forever. I can connect with people a little bit better, better eye contact, a better rapport with people. And I find that it's easier for me to hold a conversation. So whether that's a placebo or not, that's just something that I experience. And usually around this time, around 60 to 80 days, 60 to 100 days, I feel like that really helps me out a lot. So anyway, I did want to bring up one thing though. In my post about saying that I was going to retain for 2026, there's a lot of things that they say like, well, it could be attributed to a lot of different habits. And that's definitely true. Like I stack on a lot of habits, right? I said I give up caffeine. It's been 8 years, but I've not smoked any marijuana, done any nicotine, anything like that. I have cut out sugar pretty good because that's been one of my vices in the past, is eating too much sugar. And I definitely have given that up. I'm not perfect. It does go up and down sometimes, but I know when I binge sugar, I feel very lethargic the next day, and a little bit of brain fog. Okay. So again, these are all things that you're stacking up. Right. That's when you're like, oh, well, hold on a second. Like, aren't we doing semen retention to get rid of those things? Yeah, but at the same time, it's a bunch of different habits that you got to do to stack on to get the habits, to get the positive benefits, right? And so eating well is definitely something that you really want to work on as well, like proper nutrition. Like for instance, I can give you my typical day is not exciting in terms of food. I have 2 eggs and 4 egg whites, a little piece of Ezekiel bread, and some spinach in the morning, using my breakfast. Daytime snacks, I'll have a shake, and then lunchtime's usually like a chicken salad, and the chicken salad's got like apple and a little bit of like blue cheese on it. I don't even put a lot of dressing. And then my dinner last night was like a quarter of a half a sweet potato with a couple slices of steak and what was my vegetable? Oh, broccoli, right? And that's my typical daily food, and I can make it myself, and it's pretty healthy. And that's definitely one of the things that I feel like has really helped me a lot in terms of mental clarity, feeling like I got even more energy. So again, all these little things that you do stack on these positive benefits, which reminds me of an article that I found yesterday. And let me read some parts of this article. It says, "Millennial men face a low testosterone crisis. Doctors warn." Um, I I know that the zero hedge is a little bit right leaning. I am, just full disclosure, I'm a libertarian. If I were to put myself in a bucket of political leanings, and for me, I know you know that I live in a world with a tinfoil hat, and I think the world is being more and more polarized, especially here in the United States, being like blue and red, like Republicans versus Democrats. It makes it easier to fight amongst each other, and for the people who rule the world, they, to do what they want. And right now, leading us into war and keeping us distracted and keeping us fighting amongst each other for really ridiculous things that we know that we're sitting in the same room together. We probably have a lot more in common than we do different. But anyway, that's um, and then that's one of the reasons why I lean more towards libertarian. I feel like freedom, prosperity for all, non-intervention. That's definitely things that I believe in. Do I believe 100% of the things that the libertarians do? No, but at the same time, I think that's the the party or the political leaning that I most align with at this point. You guys can let me know where you guys are at. Okay, so in this article, they say your phone, your food, and your shower gel may be conspiring against your testosterone. As you know, it's like a academic now, a pandemic, an epidemic of low testosterone everywhere. And that's one of the reasons why I test my testosterone on a quarterly basis, and I do a whole bunch of different blood markers. As a matter of fact, I am taking another test. My doctor just pinged me today, and I have to go in and get my blood work done. They take like 13 tubes of blood. They tell me pretty much everything that I need to know. Hopefully by the next time we meet, which is next Wednesday, I'll be able to give you an update on my blood work and see how it's been affected. Right. Then one of the interesting things too is how does semen retention and all these positive habits that we try to tack on, how do they affect the blood work? And I'll be happy to share that with you as I have in the past. And let's see here what I see in the article. I'm trying to summarize it best for you. Men in their 30s and 40s are arriving at urology clinics with hormone profiles that would once have been unremarkable in men twice their age. I've heard this a lot where, the people in the 30s and 40s, like our dads and our granddads, their testosterone levels are much higher than ours are ever be. And there's got to be a reason for that, right? And so that's what this article tries to shine a light on. Where are the Magnum PIs of the world? Where are I also Don Fry, Don the Predator Fry, like that guy. When he was 20 years old, he looked like he was like a rugged 40-year-old man. Okay, so we have not seen such a decline in men in their 30s and 40s of testosterone, sexual function, sperm quality, sperm number in generations compared to generations prior to the millennium group. Now, I was born in 1980, so I'm not actually a millennial. Identify more as like a Gen Xer, right? And in those years, I think there was like a sweet spot between 79 and 81 where we grew up without technology, and we grew up playing outside, probably neglected by our parents. Of course, I'm kidding. And so the we grew up in the world of the internet. The internet came when we were like young, like tweens, I guess, or teenagers. And so we grew up in a world without it and then began to know the world with it. So it's a unique time to be born, being in 1980 child. And a silent decline in testosterone, while levels naturally decline by 1 to 2% per year after age 30. Normally, low levels in younger men can trigger a vicious cycle of metabolic, sexual, and psychological issues. So now, why is that? And they're prescribing TRT to everybody these days, um, and so we look here, the screen problem. So men in their 30s, 40s often report spending up to 9 hours daily on their phones, engaging in social media, and here we go, watching pornography. Habits that flood the brain with dopamine, desensitizing arousal pathways, and disrupting sleep cycles. So, on this channel, that's one of the things that we talk about often is avoiding pornography. And for me, close to 8 years now since I've made that goal for myself, and I feel amazing, lowered anxiety, much greater self-confidence, a lot more energy. And I try to spread that for everybody. But look, I was stuck in that cycle for a long time. I totally understand. Like it feels good. Instant gratification, just could be, and now you have phones, which is even crazier. You could just be anywhere looking it up. So, and if everybody's doing it, maybe you don't know you have a problem. But everybody's doing it now, right? That's what they're basically saying. So also, another thing that really can disrupt testosterone is even 1 week of sleep loss can reduce testosterone in young men by 10 to 15%. And constant exposure to screens and late night digital activity interferes with melatonin production, which is crucial for sleep and hormone regulation. So we also know that that has been a problem. Screens. And one of the things that I have resolved to doing, it's tough because I live in a world of screens. I'm staring at one right now, and if you're with me on the channel, you're probably seeing it right now as well. So it's very difficult to regulate with the screens, but I'm doing the best that I possibly can. One thing that I want to do is I want to be extremely present with my child. I want to make sure that I don't set that bad precedent for them. So like if I'm with my daughter and I'm on my phone, then she equates that as being like the normal status quo, right? So if I can avoid doing that, picking up the phone around her, at least I'm going to be more uh, intentful with trying to put that phone down. Okay. Also, what I'm looking to do, it's been a long time. I've had this watch forever, but it's out of battery, unfortunately. And so I'm going to replace this battery, put it on my wristwatch, basically an analog watch, and not have the excuse of picking up my phone to see what time it is. And then I get sucked into social media and other bad habits. So, yeah, wasting time scrolling. You don't want to do that. So I'm going to do that. And there's going to be a couple things, right? Just to say you do it is one thing, but to have a plan to do it, that's going to be completely another, and hopefully pave the path to success. So trying to reduce screen time, I think that's going to be a major, major thing as we kind of move forward. Now, and also I'm on another screen just telling you about this article. So testosterone levels are higher in men who are overall more healthy, right? So we talked about stacking on all the different positive benefits, reducing sugar, eating more whole foods, drinking a lot more water, getting enough sleep at night. So sleep is important to overall health, and that ties directly into testosterone. So if that's something you're wanting to do, then of course, these are things you can avoid. Now, of course, one of the things that we're trying to do, or at least I'm trying to do, is maximize my testosterone. So one thing that I try to do is also, not only get my blood work done, take the right supplements, and of course, semen retention. One thing that I do believe that does increase testosterone levels, or at least increases androgen sensitivity, androgen receptor sensitivity, is this. It's hard to prove. I don't know. Somebody let me know in the comments, like how can we test it? What's my T levels? That's what I'm seeing in the chat right now. The last time I tested my T levels before I was doing supplementation, you also have to kind of put this into perspective too. I was dieting really hard for a tournament, and I was doing probably overtraining. At that time, my testosterone levels were 560. My free testosterone, I believe, was 91 or 92. Don't quote me on that because I don't have it in front of me. And then my sex hormone binding globulin was around 60, which my doctor said, these can be better. Of course, your overall testosterone, total testosterone levels doesn't determine how well you convert your testosterone into usable testosterone. And that's where the other two numbers, the free testosterone as well as the SHBG, we were trying to change to more optimum levels. So I'm interested to see where they're going to end up, and also how semen retention is improving that as well. So that's where I am in terms of my testosterone levels. And You also have to remember too that like everything travels in energy, right? Testosterone levels oscillate throughout the day, and depending upon what time you tested, which for me was on 10 o'clock on a weekday, fasted and training fasted. This was also a second attempt because I did run 7 miles the day before and tried to get my blood drawn, and I just couldn't because it was just too thick. And they told me I had to go home and drink more water and come back the next day. So it's been an interesting ride, but hopefully in the next week I'll get some updated numbers for you, and we'll get to see some trends over time. All right. Another thing they're saying, of course, is what's in your plastics. We live, unfortunately, in a very toxic environment, and we're only really starting to learn what that means. Dr. Berg says we've had decades of exposure to microplastics and different plastic compounds. And that's yet another thing that people think reduces testosterone. Like, also think about, do you go? I try not to drink out of plastic bottles. If I do, make sure they're BPA free. Make sure they're not being heated or cooled, so that like you're getting all those toxins put into your water and your drinks. As a matter of fact, I try to. I don't really purchase soft drinks or even drinks when I go out. I try to bring my own because I know what's in it and I know, um, where I got it from. So, beyond microplastics, he pointed to the food that we eat. And we said I always talk about food. A lot of my students, some athletes, they say, like, I want to be stronger. I want to have more energy. I want, to be stronger and like faster and all these things. That takes a training plan over time, right? But if you want more energy, you want the capacity to be able to train more, then we can change that in 24 hours by simply what you eat and what you put in your body, and putting in whole foods in your body. That's really going to benefit you a whole lot. So, um, what we call ultra processed foods, Dr. Berg says, that's not natural. I think it's kind of obvious to everyone that the red and orange Cheetos are probably not healthy for you. Our bodies were not evolutionarily designed to handle these kinds of chemical onslaughts. So, anyway, if you want to protect your testosterone, you want to get more energy, you want to be stronger, you're going to have to really monitor what you're putting in your body and the food you're consuming. It says rising prostate cancer related or part of a larger pattern, question mark. This is interesting because, as you know, all of the semen retention naysayers will always bring up the study by Harvard University that, if you retain your seed, you're giving yourself prostate cancer. That's not necessarily true. There's a lot of problems with that study, a lot of problems with that conclusion. Of course, correlation is not causation. And if that were true, what would you say? Do you think people are more likely to be expelling their seed these days with the rise of the internet and the prevalence of pornography? I would say yes. Well, if that's the case, then why is prostate cancer rising? So, according to the American Cancer Society 2025 Prostate Cancer Statistics Report, prostate cancer diagnosis rose 3% annually starting in 2014, after declining 6.4% per year in the decade before, with the steepest increase seen for advanced stage disease, which rose 6.2% annually. So, incidence of prostate cancer is going up. Um, could it be that there is a positive correlation between the amount of pornography, the amount of time over the amount of times you over spill your seed to the amount of prostate cancer? I don't know, but it's interesting to see that it is rising rather than you'd think that if what the Howard study says that frequent ejaculation would mean reduction in prostate cancer, and what they said was 21 times a month, right, which would be 2 or 3 times a week, would 20% reduce your incidence of prostate cancer, which when they saw the advanced forms of prostate cancer, that was not the case, right? So that did not stave off the prostate cancer. Now, you would think that more and more people are taking watching corn. So there you go. And you would say that there would be a dramatic reduction in prostate cancer, which there is not. So I can only assume, if we extrapolate, that perhaps maybe that is one of the causes of prostate cancer. Now, of course, the Taoist belief is that your semen, your seed, is your essence and your vitality. And therefore, if you constantly spill your seed all the time, then you're actually leaking life force. Now, that may not be true. You can take that for what it is as well. But yeah, you see that 1,000-year-old wisdom or writings are actually counter to what we're seeing today in forms of these studies. So, what doctors are recommending? They urge healthcare providers to consider routine PSA testing starting at age 40, and getting your prostate specific antigen levels and metabolic health markers checked. So, early intervention can prevent more serious issues like prostate cancer, which doctors note is seeing an increase in aggressive cases among men under 55. Very concerning. Well, there you have it. Just wanted to share that with you in terms of what they're seeing in testosterone levels in young men and how we can improve them. I am a firm believer that what we're doing together here on this channel will help to reduce the incidences of prostate cancer. If it were true that retaining your seed was a contributor, then we would say that we would see a higher incidence of prostate cancer amongst religious people. Maybe there are a billion Muslims in the world, and they certain sects of Muslim belief feel that masturbation is haram. So if you are a devout Muslim, then perhaps you might get prostate cancer, is what this study says, which is untrue, of course. Anyway, just wanted to share that with everybody, and yeah, this is our weekly check-in. I'm very excited to be checking in with you next week. That's going to be almost right before the tournament, and hopefully I'll have some blood work in there. That'll also be my 1 year off of drinking caffeine, so I'm happy to share with you the benefits on that as well. Make sure, if you are really liking the content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Let me know how your semen retention journey is going, what day you're on, how it's affected your life positively or even negatively. Let me know that as well, because here we're sharing everything so that we can grow stronger together. Now, my next tournament, of course, is in Orlando at the end of the month. I'm fighting in the IBJJF Pan American Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Championships, and I'm very excited for that. And then following that, I'll be competing on my birthday, 46th birthday. I'm weighing in for my first Kudo fight. That's Japanese MMA out in Colorado Springs in the North American Kudo Championships. And I will, of course, be retaining my seed there as well. If of course, I am on the journey to become the first Triple Crown world champion. As a world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and Kudo in the over 45 division. And I'm sharing my journey with the world so we can chase greatness together. So thank you again for joining me on this channel. Make sure you like, subscribe. Also, check in the description below. I do have some free stuff for you. The AI prompt. That is something that I've used to help me lose weight, get in shape, especially right now. Unfortunately, as much as I hate artificial intelligence, I do use ChatGPT to help me lose weight and get into my optimal size for this tournament. Now, if you want that, I have a description in the below. It'll give you, all the prompts you need to put into AI, and also keep you up to date daily on your macros and help you pick the right food. So we talked about how important eating well and nutritiously is to our testosterone levels. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of that. And of course, if you want to really support me, in there also is a link to my courses. Any purchases that you make go to help finance my journey to become the first Triple Crown champion. So thank you very much in that. And I'm going to see you in the next one.